Good morning and welcome back to Go Create Craft, and today we're going to be doing an asymmetric card with a ScanNCut. So I put out a poll on Facebook asking what you guys wanted to see me do, and it was about 50-50 between beginners and improvers. So I'm going to go for something that I hope we have adventurous beginners who are willing to give it a go, but mainly for improvers. And it was a greeting card that you asked for, so that's what we're going to do. So firstly, before I get started, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. Ian and I are here to help you throughout the time that we're with you. I'm going to be using the Paper Boutique Pampered Pooch pad. It could be any 8x8 pad at all, so take your pick. Now this one does have some toppers in it, so I may use those in the card, I may not, I haven't quite decided. I've pulled out a couple of sheets of coloured card that are going to match. A 6-inch, I think it's a 6-inch, looks like it, adaptable. So this is where we can score anywhere along the length of our card. And apologies for the noise, because usually we don't get this. It's like we're live, so please excuse the noise. I have pulled out 3 cutting mats, or 3 mats I should say. First one I pulled out is an Artistic mat because I'm going to be using paper, so hopefully shouldn't stick too much, but looking at it that might be a bit of a new mat. Brave. I've pulled out a scan mat, so those of you that are asking whether the scan mat was worth it or not, I'm hoping to kind of give you a little bit of a demo with that. And I have a Temu cutting mat, so I may revert to that one for the paper. Depends on how brave I'm feeling. So let's dive on in. First of all, I'm going to pick a pattern paper that I want to feature from the panels of my card. So let's get the paper open, and I will try and move up the table a bit. There we go, so you can see a little bit better. So we have a couple of like patterned papers, then we have some that have actual little doggies on. So I think I'm going to go for one paper that is like a patterned one, and then I'm going to go for a doggy paper that's going to go with it. So I think that might be a good contrast. So with this card I'm doing, you're going to get kind of a 2-for-1. So we're going to cut the same design twice from our 2 papers. Now take the cover off your mat and set that to one side, hopefully somewhere where it doesn't get too dusty. And I'm going to pick one of my papers just to get started. I'm going to pop it into the top left corner of my mat and just gently go across the page. No pressure, otherwise we're going to stick the paper literally to our mat, and we don't want to do that. Okay. Now, if we hop over to the ScanNCut, let's wake it up. It's gone back off to sleep. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Pattern. We're going to go to Basic Shapes. Oh, no, come on, be good. Thank you. We're going to go down and down again to 45 for the circle. It's been very sensitive for me today. And now, I said my card is about 6 inches, so I'm going to go a little bit bigger with our circle. Let's go up to about 5, there or thereabouts. There we go. And we're going to add 1 copy of that to the mat by pressing set. First job done. Now, as I said, it is an asymmetric card we're going for, so you may be thinking, if we've got a circle, how are we going to make this asymmetrical? And what we're actually going to do is cut into that circle. So I'm going to go add, pattern, basic shape, and I'm going to use something called a guide shape. So this is going to help me position my cutting line. So I'm going to go for the square. I'm going to lower the size of that square to where I want my cut line to be. So in this case, about 1.5 inches. Really more. There we go. About there. That'll do just fine. Thanks. And we're going to set that. It's been really sensitive. There we go. Now, I've got my 2 shapes on the mat, but what I actually need to do is drag it over. Thank you, darling. Drag it over to the side. So we could do this manually and just literally drag it over. But instead, what we can actually do is use our line. So we're going to go to multi-select, which is our 3 squares. We're going to select everything on our mat. So both our circle and our square are selected. We'll go OK. We're going to go into move, which is this 4-way arrow. And at the top of move, we've got a line, which is where we've got this line in 2 shapes butting up to it. We're going to go on there. And you have options. So I'm going to move it over to the left, like so. Nice and simple. And we can check that it's aligned at the top too. I'm going to go OK. OK again. Now tap anywhere in this area of the mat to deselect the shapes. And it's going to go back to your most recent selection. Okay. Now, I'm going to go OK. I want to add another shape. Pattern. Now this time, rather than a basic shape, we're just going to use a simple line. So if we go into our borders, and we scroll down to the bottom, and then tap, 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 we're going to get to this one here. So BOB001, and that gives us a nice straight cut line. Now, at the moment, we know that our circle is about 5 inches. So I'm going to set this for now to over 5 inches. I'm going to go set, and you're going to see that it's appeared along the top of our mat, at the top of the active area of our mat. So if you're looking to see where your active area is, sometimes a straight line can be quite useful. But what we actually need to do is go to edit. With that line selected, we're going to go to object edit, and we're going to rotate it, because we want to rotate it 90 degrees. Now, if you are doing this on a CM model, drag the line into the center first, then do the rotation. SDXs are a lot more forgiving. They'll just let you do it wherever. So I'm going to go OK. So now we've got our line the right way round. We need to move it so that it lines up with the right hand edge of our square. Easiest way to do this, drag this over, go OK, multi-select, and without using either of these 2 buttons, we can tap on the square. We're going to go OK, move, align, and this time we're going to align to the right, which is going to pop it in line with the right hand edge of our square. We'll go OK. And OK again. Oh, has it gone a bit blurry? Let's see if we can get our focus back, shall we? Come on, over here. Come on. autofocus. Come on. Here. Joys of cameras. Come on. It is just not going to change. Come on. Autofocus.
Yeah, no, it's autofocus on it, it's just not focusing. Go OK and see if it does it on the next screen for us.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is go back to our multi-select, tap off, so nothing is selected. Go OK. So when we come back, you're going to see that it has the line selected. You can just about see that. And what we actually need to do is select the square. Now, when you're working on your ScanNCut, it can seem like it's going to be quite fiddly to select the different shapes. So it has two really useful buttons. These two arrows here. And what they enable you to do is select through your shapes in order that you put them on. So I want to go back one shape. So I'm going to use that left arrow. That's then going to select that square. And I can bin the square and go OK. So that just gives us our cut line and our circle. Now, beginners, at this point, you can cut very carefully. So go nice and slow and you should be all right. Improvers, we're going to go to Object Edit. We're going to go to Size and we're going to reduce that down so that it fits almost within our lines. So just a little. Now you may find that, like me, you've got a gap at the top and it's overlapping at the bottom, but that's okay. If it, oh, has it just refocused? Yay! So we'll go OK to move, and we can use our arrow buttons here to nudge the shape rather than trying to do this by hand. It's much easier to nudge when we're trying to do that fine adjustment. So we're going to nudge that upwards, like so. Okay. And when you're happy with that, we can go OK and OK. So we have a circle that is going to cut into two halves that aren't equal. So let's get our mat and we'll load that into our machine. So offer it up to the machine, get it within the guides. And there we go.
Because you're bouncing the arm.
Sorry, I'm trying not to. Okay, so I have little curved arms at the back of my ScanNCut. So they will tilt my mat upwards, so you want to make sure that your leading edge of paper's down nice and firmly. And I'm going to go for, let's go for the vinyl blade, because it's only 160 GSM paper off the top of my head. So we want something that's going to be a little bit gentler. So I'm going to go OK. Wait for the autofocus. Come on. Almost there. So we're going to go, please select, cut. On the CM can just go straight to cut. You don't have to do that bit.
Do you want to do a background scan first to make sure it's where you want it on the paper?
You can do a background scan if you were using a paper that you're concerned about where you're putting the shape on.
Okay, just asking.
But I want this to be a bit more random, so I'm not that fussed. But yeah, you can do a background scan if you want to. My speed is on 2. Let's take that down a little bit. So I'm going to go down to 1. My cut pressure is currently on auto. So I'm going to take that down a little bit. I want to make sure that half cut is off. The weeding box is off because our shape is too close to the edge anyway. And we should be okay to go. and off we pop. Okay, so you want to get your next sheet of paper ready, and a metal spatula will help you remove paper easier from your cutting mat. Okay, so before you unload your mat, always check that your pieces are cut to your satisfaction. I'm just going to get my metal spatula underneath my circle very gently, lift that up, and there we go. So there's our first one. If you want to pop it back on overhead, please, Ian. So you can see we got cut there. It's very fractionally still attached there, but that is fine for now. So we can do the same for the other one. So again, I'm going to load my paper to that top left corner, pop on my paper, go okay, we finished cutting. And if you just want to pop back to ScanNCut, we'll need to select cut again, and we can repeat with the same settings because we know the paper's from the same pad. So don't be afraid to say hi and let me know that you're watching. We're not signed into chat back yet, but I can always answer on stream. So the reason that we slow the speed down with paper is that we don't want it to snag, especially where we might have lines that cross over or that will go very close to each other like we do with our straight line. So oh, that's not quite gone right there. That's okay. I'm just going to pop the rest of my paper down. Let's show you what happens if it goes wrong. So just going to make sure that paper sits nicely around, and I'm just going to recut, and this is why we always check. So I'm just going to go to cut again and start. So there's very fractionally one small edge that hasn't quite cut. In this case, because we've already cut the design, it's easy to just send it round again. If you were then going to work on something else, just pop your pressure up one notch. Okay. So next we're going to be using our ScanNCut. Because we've created a custom design where we're actually cutting into the shapes, the ScanNCut is going to enable us to do things like offsetting. So let's see if that's worked now. There we go. Lifts off nice and cleanly now. Get my metal spatula and carefully remove the circle. So you should now have two circles that look like that. If they're still attached at the top and bottom, don't worry too much. We can just cut those by hand. But next, let's grab a pair of scissors, and I'm just going to do one of these to start with. And just going to line up my blade with the straight edge and just snip. So then we get a nice neat cut. Let's do this one over here, shall we? So line up with the blade on that straight edge and cut.
Brian's watching. Can you say good morning?
Morning, Brian. Cool, blame me, you're up early. So we have our two sections of shapes, and obviously there is nothing in the machine that matches these, because even though we've put that line through, we can't actually subtract that line through the shape to do an offset. So this is how we cheat. I'm going to take a strong piece, or strong coloured piece of card I should say, and I'm going to pop that in my ScanNCut, like so. And because our pattern paper is patterned, I'm going to actually turn it upside down. This is going to give us a nice strong contrast. So you want to put a bit of space between the two shapes so that you have something that looks like that. So our cover on our ScanNCut is there to hold these in place, and you have a white bar across the top that does your contrast. So if you're struggling with, like some of the other tutors do a homemade ScanNCut, that might be where you're going wrong. You just need that white bar there for it to do the contrast. Keep it clean. If you start to see it's getting a little bit mucky or a little bit dusty, just clean it. Okay, so I'm going to unload my cutting mat. And if you want to save your design at this point, you can go back and use the save function. I'm not that fussed, so I'm just going to go home to reset. Okay to delete all patterns? Yes, it is. Remove the blade from your machine. Important there. Remove the blade. And we're going to bring in our ScanNCut. Offer it up. Load it in. Now, I'm going to go to scan, and because we're using the scanning mat, it's ScanNCut data. Now, at the moment, recognition mode is on colour, but I think it's high contrast enough that we can actually switch to black and white. And we'll go OK. And start. Now, if it comes up with this, it's because your scan glass is actually raised. So if you've been doing drawing, foiling, using paint pens, it's going to be in that up position. So I want to lower it down, and then we can go start. CM users don't have to worry about that. There we go. So it's now going to trace what it scanned. And we can go with whichever of these options we think is right. Now, I just want it to trace around the outside of these shapes. So I'm just going to use that one. And you can see straight away, we've got a nice clean trace around here, but it looks like it's also picked up a few other little bits and pieces. So if we go to ignore object size, if you've got any dust on your mat, just pop that up a little and you're going to see that it disappears. We can go OK. And we can also use these to edit how much of the mat it is scanning. Just make sure you keep a little bit of that card around the edges so that it can still scan the shapes. Okay, now once we've done that, it's going to give us the option of where to save. We can save on the machine, we can save it to USB, or we can send it to Canvas Workspace over Wi-Fi, which is this one here. For now, let's save it to the machine. It's going to give it a name. It's not really going to make much sense. So we have an M for them. It's fact it's saved on the machine, and we have 1, 2, 3, which is the number of files it is in your system. So when you're going back through your files, and it's the same if you save to USB, it just has a U and a number. So go back through, try and give it a sensible name on USB. On the machine, you kind of just have to put up with it. So we go, okay. And we know that is saved. So now we can unload our mat. And it's going to say that your scan may shift. That's absolutely fine because we've saved it already. And we're going to go home to reset. Okay. Then we're going to go to, let's go to retrieve, and we're going to the machine. I'm going to use the 2 arrows to jump down to the bottom. It's just quicker that way. And we're going to use our shape. We'll go OK. So now we can offset in or out of those shapes depending on what we need to do. So let's go outwards first, shall we? So I'm going to go to Edit. We can select all. OK. Object Edit. We can group. And let's go for offset. And we want to offset distance outwards so that it's getting bigger, and probably about there. And we're going to go OK. So should be pretty spot on. Now bear in mind that this is also offsetting this inner edge here. So if you want to trim that when we get to the next stage, you can do that just with a normal trimmer. We're going to go OK. Now it still has those original shapes selected. So we can actually just go and delete those. OK. And just get the bigger shapes. So again, remember how I said this was a 2 for 1? We're going to do that same process of cutting 2 sheets. Just this time we're going to use coloured card. So we're going to use one that is teal and one that is pink.
Let me change the camera.
So going to make sure that our card is on our mat.
Apologies, the bin there just turned up.
And apologies for the noise again. Okay. So with our card now loaded, we can go OK. This time I'm going to swap to the black cutting blade because we're using card and our design isn't detailed enough to warrant using the vinyl blade. I'm going to go OK. Go to cut, and we can cut from there. Now if you want to move these around so that you're saving a bit of card, you can do. But for now, let's go to start. And I might actually use this card for something else. I'm thinking cool scrapbook layout. So your scan mat is literally just for scanning. You're never going to cut onto it. Whereas if you're using direct cut, you'll use your standard cutting mat. Okay, that needs to go around again. I think my poor black blade's had enough. Let's go to my settings. It's going to need a little bit more than that. So let's put it on auto. Let's just check my cutter mount as well. Let me from there. No, it won't. Okay. So, any questions while we're waiting for this to cut? So hopefully you've all caught up with the video that we did Tuesday. What day of the week is it? Tuesday. There we go. That's better. More like it. And let's just grab my metal spatula and then I can show you how this is going to work. Now offset sometimes can be a bit weird and wonderful, so you may find that you get a few artifacts like this here where we need to just fix it. But if I show you with the panels on, let's go the right way round. There we go. So we've got doggies and one patterned like so. So now we're going to cut the same from the pink so that we can do the opposite pair. So this time I'm using a pink pearlescent and I'm just going to stick that straight onto the cutting mat in my machine. Let's go. Okay. Please select cut again. Now I'm just going to let that go. I think it might be time to replace my blade. It's getting to that point.
There's a video you can do.
Yeah, so I'll do probably a YouTube short on that. How to replace your blade. So quiet. Okay, let's check that's cut. Does it need to go around again? No. We have a lift off. Okay. So let's grab these two bits and we can put our card together. So what you need to decide at this point is if you want to mix your backing card, which could look funky, or if you want to, there we go, keep them both the same. The choice is yours. I think I'm going to do a bit of a mix and match. So I'll set the one to one side for now and pop together the card, one card with you on stream, and then I'll do another after we've finished. So scoreboard, managed to bury it as usual, and we want to have our semicircle a little bit wider, so I want to go about, just slide off my pen folder, about 2 inches would be good. So I'm going to score that lightly first And then a bit more crisply. Okay, let's fold that in. Like so. I'm just going to reinforce that. Now, the adaptable's a really strong card, so you can do it front and back. If your card's a bit thinner, just do it from the back, because otherwise some card can pick up like a sheen when you're using your bone folder. Okay. So, next I want to go to about probably about 6 inches. So let's go at our maximum score line on this board, which is 5.5, and I can always trim that end flap. Yep, gonna end up trimming it. So again, just going to reinforce that fold like so, front and back. So now we want to trim our card so that it lines up with our narrow panel. So I'm just going to give myself a little pencil mark or a pen mark. Can you pass me a friction pen, please, sweetie? Oh, gonna have pencil. Okay, fine. I'm just going to offer that up and just mark it there and mark it there. Now this is where I apologise, because you may not see this on screen because I have a huge trimmer. It's like, clear the decks. I've lent Mum my little one because her craft room is currently in storage unit. There we go. So let's check that, and I want it so it lines up like so. Hopefully you can see that okay. So now it's just a case of stick it all together. I will try and do this as quick as possible because no doubt time is a ticking. What's the update on time?
Just going to 40 minutes.
Okay, so I'm just going to use little tiny dots of glue. You can use double-sided tape, tape runner, take your pick, whatever you feel comfortable with. Okay, and you want to line up so it goes into the center of the panel like so. Try and get it level. That straight line's handy for that. And we'll do the same with this one. So dot, 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 dot. And line it up. That is as straight as a... I'm just going to use that straight line to go to. Okay. Now, let those dry for a moment because I need to put them back in the trimmer. So remember how I said offset will go all the way around, but it won't take into consideration that you want that nice straight edge. Now's the time to do the straight edge. So, line that up. And you should have something that looks like that. Now there's a little bit down here that the scan with the offset didn't quite manage to do, But that's fine, we can tweak that in a minute. Do the same with your other panel. So line it up. And trim down. Now if you're feeling really brave, you could do this using your original shapes on your ScanNCut. Okay, so asymmetric card, here we go. We want it so that our circle lines up. So we just need to do that little tweak just on the edge there. So again, rest the card in the blade and just snip until you're happy that the shape follows where you need it to go. Like so. And then we can edit our panels and we can decide what we want to do to go on top. So for me, more dots. And line that up against the fold. It's easier to do the bigger piece first. And because I'm using wet glue, it's got a little bit of wiggle room. So I'm just going to hold that there for a moment. Because otherwise, if we don't, we'll end up with it moving when we try and do our other piece. So set that to one side for a moment. And make sure that you don't see that much white when you open the card. Okay. Next bit. More dots. And just going to rotate because I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed, you might prefer to work the other way around, but I want to get this so that it lines up with that circle at the top and bottom. And just press and hold. You can do belt and braces and use some double-sided tape as well as wet glue just to give you that instant stick. But then hopefully you should have an asymmetric card that looks like this. And let's go back to our kit, because we have some little pre-cut toppers, and let's tear out a sheet of those. So I'm going to go for the circle ones rather than the square ones, because obviously. And we can go for the tealy green, or the pink, or the purple. I think the purple might be a nice contrast actually. Let's pop out the pink and the purple and we'll just decide where we can see a bit better. So there's the pink. And here's the purple. Which do you think? Pink or purple?
Purple.
Purple. We're going to go purple. Okay.
I'm always going to say purple.
Yeah, you're biased. Okay, so at this point, if you want to, you can 3D mount this circle. Just remember to keep that left hand edge clear of your 3D foam. Likewise, if you just want to stick it straight onto that card base because of postage, then do that too. So what I do is I try to use my cutting mat as kind of a guide. So I want to keep this edge clear of glue, so I'll hold it there. Get my glue. Do my dot, 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 dot. I'll be ultra conservative on the side of where I'm going to put my glue because it squidges. And I want to aim to get that into the middle, like so. And try and get it level. There we go. And I'm just going to hold that there for a moment. Okay, and there we go. We have our asymmetric card. using our ScanNCut. So let me know in the comments what you think, and look forward to seeing you all very soon. So probably next time I see you live will be early next week, in all likelihood. So there we go. Thank you for joining me, and I'll get that one and its sister card up onto Facebook and Discord very soon. Take care. Bye.